Right now, somewhere, there's a version of you doing absolutely nothing. Not losing money, not making a mistake, just waiting. Waiting until things feel a little more stable, until the timing is right, until next year. It feels safe, it feels free, it costs you nothing. And it is the most expensive thing you will ever do with money, and you will never see the bill. The year you wait isn't the thing you lose. You lose everything that year would have become. Before we go any further, this is educational, not financial advice. No products, no promises. Just the math, drawn out, in numbers you can't unsee. So let me ask you something, and be honest. When you picture yourself in 30 years, older, retired, finally able to rest, does that person feel like you? Or do they feel like a stranger? Someone you'll deal with later. Someone whose problems aren't quite real yet. That feeling isn't a flaw. Your brain treats your future self like a different person. So when you put off saving for them, it doesn't feel like hurting yourself. It feels like saying no to a stranger. Easy, painless. And that one quiet trick of the mind is the whole reason waiting feels free. You're not lazy. You're not bad with money. You're just wired to protect today and abandon someday. Every single time the choice comes up. So you wait. 1 year. Just one. What's 1 year? Let's find out. And let's do it the spender way. No names, no currency, just clean, made-up numbers, so this works no matter where you live. Picture two people who are exactly the same. Same job, same income, same plan to put a little aside each month. There's only one difference between them. One of them starts now. The other one starts 1 year from now. Now, the amount of money that one extra year holds is tiny. If you measure it as what they would have set aside in those 12 months, it's a thin little slice. Almost nothing, really, next to a whole working life. You could be forgiven for thinking it barely matters. So let's let time run, all the way to the end, at a steady assumed rate of return, say 8% a year. And remember, that's an assumption to show the pattern, not a promise. And here is the number you can't unsee. The one who started a year earlier doesn't finish a thin slice ahead. They finish with a tower. The gap between them isn't the size of one missed year. At an assumed 8% over about 30 years, that single skipped year grows to roughly 10 times itself. You skipped 1 year. It cost you 10. Look at the two pieces side by side. The amount the late starter actually missed putting in, that's the small slice. The amount they lost in the end, that's the whole tower standing next to it. They skipped a little. They lost a fortune. And now the loop closes. Why does one missed year cost so much more than the year itself? Because that first year wasn't going to sit there as 1 year. It was going to grow. You didn't lose 1 year. You lost a year that had 30 more years of compounding still ahead of it. That's the bill from the start of the video, the one you never see. It doesn't arrive as a charge. It arrives as a tower that simply never got built. And if 1 year does that, sit with what waiting longer does. Here's the part that should make you move today. The most expensive year you will ever skip is the very next one, this year, because it has more time left to grow than any year you have left. Every year you keep waiting is worth a little less than the one before it, but you never stop paying. Now, you'd think a cost this big would be easy to feel. It isn't. And that's the second trap. The real reason people quit. Because at the start, compounding looks like a liar. You put money in month after month, and for a long, long time, almost nothing visible happens. The line barely lifts off the floor. No tower, no fortune. Just a slow, boring crawl that looks exactly like it isn't working. This is the part nobody warns you about. The boring middle. The years where you're doing everything right and it feels like nothing. And because it feels like nothing, this is exactly when most people stop. They quit. Right before the part that makes it all worth it. Here's what they couldn't see. The tower doesn't rise evenly. The growth that built it was hiding in the later years all along, quietly loading, waiting. The flat, boring stretch wasn't the proof that it failed. It was the price of admission for the part that which leaves the only question that actually matters. What if you didn't wait? But here's the honest version of that question. The one most of these videos refuse to ask. What if you already did? Because maybe you're not at the start. Maybe you've already waited a few years, maybe more. And every chart that shows the magic of starting young can feel less like a lesson and more like an accusation. So let me be straight with you. The way this channel always will be. If you waited, yes, there is a cost, and I'm not going to pretend it away. The earlier head start would have built more. That's just true. But watch what happens when we run it honestly. Put two paths side by side again. One person who started years ago, and you, starting today, behind, knowing it. Yes, there's a gap between you. You can see it. But now keep both lines running forward from this moment on. Because here's the thing the shame version never tells you. From today, your money compounds on exactly the same curve theirs does. Same engine, same rules. The years ahead of you still bend upward, hard. You didn't miss compounding. You missed some of it. There's a difference, and that difference is everything. So the gap that already opened, that one is real, and we're not lying about it. But the gap that opens from here, the one between starting today and waiting one more year, that one is still completely yours to choose. That's the whole truth in one breath. The cost of waiting is real, and the best response to a cost you already paid is to stop paying it. The most expensive year left in your life is always the next one you wait. The cheapest is the one you start. You are not behind because you're bad with money. You're behind because your brain hid the bill, and the early years lied to you about whether it was working. Now you've seen both. You can't unsee them. So here's the question sitting right where you are. You came in asking what waiting costs. You've seen it now, but there's a quieter question underneath that one. And I think it's the one you're actually carrying. Am I already too late? That's the real other half of this. In numbers you can't unsee, that's the one to watch next. It answers the question you're already asking.